y'all. This Dsmoovee, Voice of the Streets. Thank you so much for being here. Another episode of On the Streets Radio. All you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel to get more. Because I need the subscribers. Look, y'all be faking. I need y'all to go ahead and put me on game. Put me in front of your friends and family. Put me on the big screen TV. And subscribe to the channel, okay? Because look, I have some of the dopest people in St. Louis with me. Of course, you see the studio. Look, it's a little different. I know we not at Streets, but we have graciously invaded the TB studio. So big shout out to our sponsor TB's and everything he has going on over here. Like I said, I got some of the dopest people in the city with me. I keep them with me. I ain't with a boosie, but you know what it is. So I have candidate for Alder lady, Miss Alisha Sonnier is in the building. How you doing, Queen?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, look
Thank
here.
you for having me.
I've been trying to get you up here for a long time now. We've been bouncing off each other's schedules. We've been doing a lot of things, but we always seen each other in great places.
Yeah.
So it is amazing to finally have you up here today to talk about everything that you have going on now. So I wanted to briefly let you introduce yourself, let the world know who you are, let them know what you do.
Yes. Hello. So nice to be here with you all today. My name is Alisha Sonnier, and I am running for alderwoman of the 7th Ward. In general, I'm just a person who believes that we can't leave political power in the hands of others, and it can't always be others making decisions for us. And if it is, then we're always on the menu rather than setting our own agenda. So I'm running for 7th Ward alderwoman. 7th Ward is a South City ward. I give people the big landmarks of Cherokee Street up to St. Louis University Hospital. It's comprised of 7 beautiful, diverse neighborhoods. I currently serve on the Board of Education, so I'm very familiar with policy. And, I just think that it's time. We're at a transformative, pivotal time in our city, and I want to be one of our new 14 legislators.
I love it. And before we get to your alderwoman campaign, we're going to talk about your board the Board of Schools thing. Like, that was really an amazing accomplishment for you, and I celebrated with you in silence. So I didn't get a chance to be invited to the party.
You'll be invited to this one.
Okay,
You'll be invited to this one.
So look, I'll be feeling a little.
You'll be invited to this one.
That's all that matters.
We locked in now. You got it.
Yeah, talk to us about that and about that whole campaign and like what it meant to you.
Yeah, so, for me, I come from a background of community organizing following the murder of Michael Brown. And if you get involved young, I was 18 at the time, people would always say, you'll run for office someday, you'll run for office someday. At that time, I would have told you, absolutely not. No way. Yeah. But then I think as an activist and an organizer, you keep ending up at the doors of politicians. So you do start to wonder, like, what would it be like to be on that other side? And then a couple of years later, fast forward me graduating from college, me working on some other campaigns for candidates like Cori Bush, but also for issues like Fight for 15 and just political education in general.
Yeah.
I was 25 and we were closing 8 schools in the city of St. Louis. And that was at the time where, Missouri and across the country, people were telling us, well, you can't teach history in classes. You can't tell the truth anymore about some of the things that this country has done and been through. And I didn't, like the feeling of that. And I had some people approach me about running for alder at that time. Mm-hmm. But I was like 25. I had just got, kind of my job as a mental health advocate. I was just getting my first feeding as like an adult in a career. So I was like, no, I don't think that. And I still wasn't sure how I feel about politics because, as you know, when you have a public role, it comes with a whole, a lot of scrutiny. What you say, what you don't say, such a microscope. And then also I wasn't sure yet if politics could be a vehicle for real change. Mm-hmm. But I came back and was like, well, what about the Board of Education? And they were like, you're crazy. You're 25. This is an even harder race because this is citywide. You don't come from a family name. You don't come from any money. So how are you going to do that? So I was like, okay, well, let me reframe my question. I'm going to do this. How can you help me?
All right.
Yes. And so we did it. I built my own team and we ran a citywide race. We got almost 15,000 votes, but there was 10 people in the race and there was 3 open seats. And I actually lost by 26 votes. But what's for you is for you. And at that time, Mary Jones was treasurer. But in that election, she had just got elected mayor and she appoints vacancies on the school board. Adam Lane was on the Board of Education, but she appointed him as her treasurer because he was her deputy treasurer. Yes. So he made him official treasurer. Shout out to Adam. Shout out to Mayor Jones.
Shout out to Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Love her.
Yes. And so she put me, there was a vacancy on the Board of Education, and she was like, hey, you were next up, 26 votes shy. She endorsed me when I was campaigning and put me on in the seat, and we've been there for 2 years now.
I love it, and you've done some amazing work on the board. I just want to tell you that. And you hold that seat you don't hold it. You actually are an instrument, and you actually are out in the community with that seat doing work. And I just want to thank you so much for being of the people. Being in politics is not something I personally like to do, or not something that I'm into. But what brought you into the whole political world, and like what keeps you revitalized in it? Because I know certain people can get tapped out by it.
Definitely. So I always like to say the only question is if you're an active participant in politics, because everything that you do is political. You know, whether or not this building that we're in got public subsidies when it was built, that's politics. Whether or not your streets are paved or they have potholes, that's politics. When you go to the emergency room, who, you know, how your bill, or do they have to see you? That's you know, that's politics. The bill, I mean, everything. So much of our community is political. So I always like to say, like, the only question is whether or not you're an active participant. Now, you might do what I do, where you're a public servant officially. And so I think when you build community, that is political. So I would say that I do think you're in politics, because I always see you at community events and in community spaces, and you provide a platform. And one of the reasons I like politics is because we get to set the public narrative, but you need the media to do that. And public narrative has a lot to do with what you can get through and what you can't, what you can allocate money to, what you can't, how your community responds to you, how open people are to things. So I think for me, once I started realizing, you know, for example, one of the things I've been doing at school board is that there were employees when I joined. We're the third largest employing institution in the city. We have a budget of over $400 million, but we had employees that were making less than $12 an hour, right? And full-time employees.
What?
Yes, insane. And so one of the things I've been able to do, being one of the 7, is be a part of helping to make sure that we raise our minimum wage for the entire district to $15 an hour. And so that's in place now. Yes. And so for me, what's attractive about politics is power structures exist in our reality, and I do believe in social justice, and I do believe in liberation, and I think that our communities, we're starting to build a lot of social awareness. You can wear your hair how you want. It's more of a right to speak how you want, more social acceptance. I think we're becoming more aware financially, our credit, savings, investments. I think entrepreneurship is on the rise. I think we're starting to become more aware of our health, our physical and mental health. But I think as far as the powers go, political power is one that I think we have a lot more work to do, and we need a lot of that to do some of the things that we want to do. And so as I've been an activist and just moved through the world in St. Louis as a Black woman, I think it's very hard not to see some of these stark contrast differences. And just really I'm at a point now where, you know, I don't want people making decisions for me. I don't want everything to be decided without our community. I don't want to be at the mercy of others. I want to be in a room and be able to say, this needs $4 million. And it gets $4 million.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I want to be able to say, hey, we should have a town hall and talk to people about this event, rather than just leaving your community and the trajectory of your city and your people in the hands of people who don't know your struggles, who don't know your experiences, and honestly are usually putting money in their individual interests over everything else. And the only way we can do that, you know, we're the ones we've been waiting for. So it's like, okay, I like talking to people. I feel like I'm good at building consensus. I have a good analysis. You know, I know like historically where we can be, but I have big, bold ideas on where we could go. Let's do it.
I'm so amazed by you right now, honestly, because being able to talk to somebody who actually like knows the book but also knows the street way about it, and is able to kind of mend both of those worlds and put it out to the people. That's sensational. Like, you are intelligent when it comes like honestly, like you are like she's spitting this off like she like stuck this off in a book. But it's honestly because you care. Like, you care so much about our people. You care so much about what St. Louis has going on, and you care so much about what you can do to help and to be a voice and an advocate for others.
Definitely.
Talk to us about, like you said you were a mental health advocate too, and you kind of got into that space. I just want to know a little bit about that and what made you get into that mental advocate space?
Yeah, so when I was in college and all that activism, I was working on a degree, and it took me a while to figure it out, like it does most of us.
Absolutely.
Right, but I landed a bachelor's of science in psychology.
At least you finished. I didn't finish.
You know what, but it's never too late.
I was Kanye West in it.
You know, hey, and he needs mental health help now, so he's a good model for You know,
I was kind
we'll pray for him. Let's make therapy accessible. He should be able to access it. Let's pray he can get some competent, high quality care. But yeah, so I think the biggest lesson that I learned from my time as a serious community organizer is that so often we don't need people from the outside to come in and break us up because we are our own worst enemies. I saw so many things where, you know, had we had better experience with dealing with our own traumas, healing our own, you know, things that we've experienced, learning how to truly communicate and talk to one another, interpersonal relationships, had some of that work been done, I think that what we could have accomplished and what we could have gotten done could be even more. And it's okay, we're still working on it, but that's what I think I learned from being a community organizer and really doing the work and seeing a movement come, seeing the movement fall, and just kind of now being a part of the ebb and flow. So it really made me passionate about mental health. And I had my own experience probably around 2017 where I was extremely depressed and burnt out, and I didn't know. I was just in my dorm room for like a week, and I had a friend who brought a psychology professor to my room, and she was a Black woman. Shout out to Dr. Banks. She talked to me, and I remember her kind of saying like, you know, have you ever considered depression? And I'm like, no, like I'm not depressed. I'm lazy. Like I have an opportunity to go to a university on degree, on scholarship, and do the things I want in my community and work a job. I know where I'm going to sleep tonight. I know where my meal is going to come from. I'm just being lazy and unmotivated. Why am I getting up? And she was like, Alisha, you know that there's, you know, she literally started talking about mental health, and there's a such thing as depression, there's a such thing as burnout, and there's a such thing as anxiety, and things that honestly, even though I was studying, I just didn't think that they applied to me and myself. So that really just changed. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to finish this psychology degree. And I used to want to be a psychiatric nurse practitioner because I'm like, once I started going to therapy, which to this day, I go to therapy every 2 weeks. And honestly, before campaigns, I always go every week. We double up because
I'm with you because I go to a therapist too.
Yes. And so when I graduated college, the job that I got that has been my career for the past few years is a mental health advocate. And so people call in, and it could be simple. Hey, my job has an employee assistance program. I want to get some therapy. Or it could be much more nuanced. You know, I think my son is extremely like suspicious and maybe have schizophrenia, but he's never had a diagnosis. Can you help me? Or, you know, I had a relapse on whatever substance use. Can you help me? Or, hey, I'm having thoughts of harming myself, you know, or sometimes people just call and say, I need help. And then it's your job as their advocate. You really help them. You do an initial assessment, you figure out like kind of a good idea of what is going on with them, you create a path forward, and you help them navigate it. You may need to contact a clinician and get them help in a moment. You might need to find the specific type of mental health professional that they need. You get them a list, you tailor it for them, make sure that they get it, explain to them what benefits are available. So, you know, I think the name of the title is very fitting because you're their first point of contact and you are their advocate a lot of times before they even know what may be going on. And really, they're at a point at that point where it's like, I know I need some help maybe, I know something's wrong, but people have a lot of fears about navigating the system without sometimes a lot of care and a lot of empathy. And it's like, I don't even know who I need, and is that person gonna care? So you wanna be the one to let them know, hey, yes, someone cares and there are options available for you, and I'm gonna hold your hand while we figure this out together.
I love it, and I appreciate that because a lot of people don't understand that mental health is something that a lot of people, like you have to sometimes walk with somebody by the hand because we don't actually have all the understanding of it. But I'm thankful in today's world that it's really getting the light that it should and the light that it deserves. Speaking of light, you have been lighting up St. Louis. Talk to us about your campaign now for the alderwoman.
Yes, so in the city of St. Louis, we have 28 wards, and we're going down to 14. So now every single person that is in the city and they're an elected official at the local level, they're running for office. A lot of incumbents are not rerunning. And what has happened with 14 wards is now the wards are double in size, they're double in territory, they're double in pay, and it's just really a period of redefining itself. So people are calling it Aldergeddon. They say we're all, that's what the hashtag is. Because everybody's got to duke it out. And so, including the president, but the president of the board doesn't have any challenger right now.
Shout out to Megan Green.
Yes, yes. I was her political director for her president board of alderman race. And so,
congratulations to y'all on that one.
Man, it was worth it. You know, when I saw that nobody else even challenged, I'm like, that is a good campaign. It was literally just in November, and now everybody can kind of focus more on the candidates. And so, I'm running for the 7th ward to be one of the 17. I just really think, on the Board of Education, 20% of our children are unhoused, and those are the official numbers. There's more that move 9 times in one school year. A school year is only 9 months. There's, plenty of them that face trauma and violence in their communities every single day, and that's the norm. And so for me, the things that I can get done as a Board of Education member has its limits. So what I've seen is to improve the trajectory of our city, to create a city that is truly for children, where people can develop and thrive here, it takes an all hands on deck approach. Absolutely. And so I think being on the Board of Aldermen will position me, a little bit better when I'm talking about taking a holistic approach to public safety. We do get a say so in the city's budgets and what types of things should get investments. When I'm talking about, people being unhoused, one of the things I talk about all the time is that I think housing is a human right.
Absolutely.
And in the 7th ward, we're so diverse, and we need to have housing that's just as diverse as we are. And what that looks like is having housing options that are quality for all income levels. And you really have the power to steward those things in and develop those things as alder that you wouldn't have. So I'm just really excited about the future and the city redefining itself and having political leadership that really is for the people and that tangibly improves people's quality of life, and that political power is used in the interest and for people rather than against us like it so often is.
Absolutely. You are, like I said, running a magical campaign, and you've been doing it at an accelerated rate. How can people support you? How can we, I already know how you is, like you boots on ground, you knocking on doors.
Yes.
How can people volunteer with you?
Yes.
How can they support you? How can we make sure that you are our winner for the alderwoman for the 7th ward?
All right, so this means I get to say I'm for the streets approved.
Absolutely.
I'm endorsed.
Absolutely.
I've got a piece of literature in my purse.
All right now.
She
didn't see.
Stay ready.
I like that.
Stay ready.
I like the fact that you already came ready.
Okay.
Let's see that.
Okay, so on here, really what I'm going to talk about is the website. So you can go to Sonnier, SONNIER 4STL.com. You can sign up to volunteer there. If you live in the 7th ward, you can request a yard sign. You can, subscribe to the newsletter that we release regularly, I think about weekly or bi-weekly at this point. You can also, all of my social medias are on here. It's Alisha, Lisha Liberty on Twitter and Instagram, and it's just my full first name on Facebook. Okay. And I even have a phone number that I put on my literature so that anyone who, I think your job is to be the people's person and be accessible to them. So you can ring the line of 390-9022.
Absolutely. Okay,
and come right through. But for volunteering, you can also donate. So if you go to the website, you can find the link to donate, even if it's $5, if it's $7. I pay all of my canvassers $19 an hour.
Yes, woo!
Yes, yes.
I'm put on my play shoes and come out there with you.
You'll be volunteering your time.
Okay, yeah, you sure will.
Yeah, but you still should come.
Okay.
And what we're gonna pay is political power. Okay. That'll be the pay for the community. But yeah, so we have bilingual literature. For me, you have to run a quality campaign that is deserving of your community. And that means having a team, especially when it's this large of a ward, and really making sure that you're not leaving any stone unturned. For canvassing, we launch from Fox Park every Saturday and every Sunday. At Saturdays, we launch at 1. On Sundays, we launch at noon. But also, if you follow me on any of these social medias or you go to the website, all of that information is always there.
I love it. I am looking forward to supporting you. I know you talked to us about a concert. Talk to us a little bit about that if you want to make that announcement.
Yes. Okay, so there will be a concert. One of the things when you talked about just doing things in a new way, I think being a younger woman, a younger Black woman running for this office, one of the things that's really important to me is there's so many of our community that is like disengaged. And I don't think that is just on them. I think that a leader's job is to go to your people and figure out what is it, what am I not doing? How am I not reaching you? What do I need to do to connect with you?
Absolutely.
So the concert for me is a way to do that because it's a very non-traditional campaign event. Yeah. But that's the point. Think about the group of people that will go and listen to we have some adult lineup coming up. We're still confirming the artist.
Okay.
But let's perhaps say Brock Seals.
Okay.
He's really good.
My man's in them. I got a surprise for him.
Yes. Let's perhaps say a well-known female DJ in the area who's really good. You know what I'm saying? Let's perhaps say, we got someone else on the lineup, but it'll be on the 29th at the Golden Record. And more details will be forthcoming. But it is to do what you said. If you are just the type of person that wants to catch a vibe, but your ticket goes to the campaign, look at that. You just funded local political power for the people and caught a vibe. And I'll be right there catching a vibe with you. And we're going to have a special political guest as well. It may be, a certain mayor of the city or a certain congresswoman or a certain president. You never know what you'll get. Right. They've all endorsed the campaign. We'll see.
Shout out to my TCs. I love them both so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Sonnier. We appreciate
and
you.
And the victory party at Blank Space.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
On April 4th.
On April 4th.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can always come kick it April 4th. We'll probably open the doors at about 8.
Okay.
We'll watch the results roll in and watch. I'm calling it a victory party in advance.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Okay, so look, make sure you tap in with Ms. Sonnier right now. She gave you all the information. If you want to volunteer your time or if you want to get involved with the campaign, all you got to do is reach out to her, and she's definitely going to talk back. Look, we want to shout out to our sponsors, TV Studio, Key Productions, my guy Andy behind the camera, and T Strong for putting everything together. And if you see us out, make sure y'all show us some love. And if you see Ms. Sonnier out, make sure you show us some love. All right, Dsmoovee.